Hey, do you travel?
Yep.
Really?
Nailed
Often?
it. Yep. No.
No?
But I wish I could more. And if I did more, how would I possibly prepare for it?
Well, you would need Saley, right? This is something we're using
Tell me
right
about
now. It's an eSIM. It's brought to you by Nord Security, and the great thing about it is it's available in there are several affordable eSIM plans in over 160
Steve
countries.
is all over Adam right now for
Says that
anybody
right
listening.
there.
Yeah.
It says it right
With
there.
a Saley eSIM, you'll always know that you're going to have a connection. And like I said, 160 countries, all you have to do is install the eSIM one time. And if you move from country to country, you can just change your plan. How great is that?
It's so great.
So great. Jesse, what's
Yes.
your favorite part of Saley?
My favorite part of Saley is how much I save Lee by using it.
Is there like a part of the app that sends Jesse to prison?
No, I wish there was.
I think a lot of people would use that app
Yes.
if that was an app.
There's 24/7 support, even for Jesse's bad puns.
Most popular app in the world.
All Saley
Send Jesse to
eSIM plans
prison.
are compatible for iOS and Android devices. So download once and save 15% now when you use the code DANGLE at checkout. Go to Saley, SAILY.com/dangle, or download the Saley app. Saley app or SAILY.com/dangle, 15% off. Let's start the show.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wild, and Jesse
Are we
Blake.
good? Can we start now? Steve, you can stop punching the air. It's okay. All right, Steve's excited. We're back at Fireball Cove right here in the Tech CU Center. And listen, the Barracuda are playing tonight. We're doing a little watch party this evening, which we're very, very excited about in this arena at Calder's.
Isn't that so fun?
Tech CU Arena.
Tech CU Arena.
Get it right, Adam.
Moron.
Sorry. That's, this is the important branding part. But
We're getting kicked out.
we're going to be at Calder's tonight. We're going to be watching the Barracuda, and then we're going to see them a couple of times in person later this week.
Yes.
And obviously, tomorrow, the Toronto Maple Leafs are in town. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're playing the San Jose Sharks.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's going to be pretty interesting, given my new attire.
How do you feel in your new
Can you
Dangle jersey?
explain it for people listening?
It is a Dangle 20 Sharks jersey.
Nice.
For the
Teal
Sharks-
Town,
For
baby.
the Sharks truther.
Teal Town. Listen, they asked me, and it was between Dangle and Truther. And I really strongly considered Truther. But then I thought about all the people who don't get that reference, who might just think I'm a super weird person.
You're an Aaron Rodgers type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing ayahuasca outside the building and then having a great time.
Now,
No.
Jesse, you want to show off your jersey?
Yeah, I have a Celebrini 71.
There you go.
Bad boy.
I've
on
got
me.
my. I'm wearing my.
Adam's
t-shirt,
not
actually.
supporting the team.
I'm wearing my Sharks t-shirt. and
Adam's
my-
ungrateful.
Oh.
And I brought a teal shirt from my own closet, so it would kind of fit.
Adam-
with the whole getup.
Listen,
You know?
you can fool the people listening, but the people watching know damn well that's seafoam.
Okay.
That's not true.
teal
That's
is-
not
That
true.
is
Steve.
seafoam.
Yeah.
Also, I have
Seafoam is seafoam.
I have my Will Smith, Big Willie Styles jersey over there too, because the Sharks hooked us up.
Do,
which is awesome.
do people around here make Will Smith jokes?
They should.
Do you think
I'm
they
sure
should?
he gets annoyed by it.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be annoying.
They're probably way different than they would have been
Yeah.
at one point. You know, like,
yeah, like a lot of
you know,
slap jokes now.
Yeah. It used to be, oh yeah, he's really running the Wild West or something. Now it's, oh, he slapped that one home. He Chris rocked him into the boards, and yeah.
Is that a verb?
How long
I don't know.
How long you been holding back on that?
Yeah.
That's wild.
I came up with it 5 seconds ago.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You actually did have you did an interview yesterday, Steve, with Brody Brazil, who is obviously a part of the Sharks broadcast here, and they asked you, obviously you're a Leafs fan, but like, are you now a Sharks fan? And you were so proud of this line.
I was really proud of it.
He's like, you can't even describe how excited Steve was with himself on this one. What did you say?
You need blue to make teal. Which, sorry, that's a banger.
Is that true?
Look
think
down.
so.
Look down at your jersey.
I don't know. I'm not a colorologist.
That is blue and green. That's what it is. It's blue and green.
I don't know.
And maybe some white. I don't
Get-
work
get
at Home
the-
Depot.
here's
just
how you do it.
I don't know how
All right, if you were go to Home Depot and you wanted to paint your entire house teal because
Yeah.
you're a big Sharks fan,
You would buy teal paint.
mix 2 parts blue paint with 1 part green paint,
Boom!
and a half part yellow paint, and that is how you get teal.
Oh, so where's the yellow in your little catchphrase?
In the logo. In the logo.
Oh, true.
There it is. It's in the logo. It's in the Sharks
It's like
logo.
a light brown.
It's like a yellowy
It's a
brown.
hockey stick. It's a brown.
It's more orange.
So
Gold?
listen, speaking of almost yellow colors, orange, Sharks, not Sharks, Phillies, Flyers.
You were right.
Close.
I was picking it up.
That was rough.
Listen, we can talk about the Leafs last night, or we can talk about the real story, which is it's bad in Philadelphia. That's the second game in a row that the Flyers have allowed 2 or more goals. Sorry, 7 goals or more goals, not 2 or more.
Yeah.
2 or more
that
would
is
have been
also
great. That would have been
that is also
30
true.
other teams have
that's-
done this.
You know what, Jesse? You're right. My
It's
first
also
statement was
true.
true. They did
Yeah.
allow 2 or more goals.
You know what? You nailed it.
And I want to start with this because John Tortorella is making the news this morning, and it went off crazy in the group chat. And this is what he said after the game. He said, "This falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning."
Here.
Oh, you can play it off there?
I can play it. Do you want to play it?
You can just play it?
No, it won't be inserted into the show until Drew inserts it into the show.
That would be
but
great.
yes,
Please
I will
play it, Jesse. Let's see.
I will play it here. Let's see if this works. Okay, I'm gonna hit play.
They had things buttoned down pretty good and kept you guys from jeopardy.
No, they outplayed us.
York only plays the 3 minutes to start here. Is this something that you and the coaching staff want to use as a learning experience?
I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Do you think this is a game, John, where the team just needs to maybe simplify things against a team like the Leafs, get pucks to the net, bodies to the net?
It's my job to prepare this team in this type of situation. Haven't done a good enough job past couple of games.
These last 2 games, are you sensing frustration setting in? Maybe it's a cumulative effect from last week playing well and not getting results?
Well, when you're in this type of situation and you're losing all the time and there's nothing at the end of the tunnel for you, there's certainly going to be some frustration. But this falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach this type of season where we're at right now. But I have to do a better job. So this falls on me, getting the team prepared to play.
So that quote was making the rounds in the words.
Yeah.
And then you watch the press conference because it's important. We always say this. How did he say it? How was it said?
Yeah.
In what context? What was the lead question that led to an answer like that,
It was
too?
pretty unforced error. I don't know about error, but it was unforced.
A lot of people said, hey, like that's akin to him going, I give up. And I don't get that sense from it. What I get from it is, hey, I'm frustrated too as the coach. I think if you were to give the players truth serum, they'd say, hey, listen, every day in the NHL is a good day. But looking at where the Flyers, where the Flyers are going, I don't think they're particularly interested in playing on a team like this. And he said it at the beginning of the quote. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. Is this John Tortorella effectively stepping down like some have suggested, or is this John Tortorella frustrated and perhaps saying something that's a little off?
Like when he joined the Flyers, where they were, right? It was a bit of a strange fit, but we're like, okay, so he's essentially the face of the team. Right? A little bit like when Babcock joined the Leafs. Yeah. Like he was the face of the team because there was no one who was even sort of ready to step into that role because remember it was the 15-16 season, not 16-17 when things started turning around a little bit. But now it's been a few years. Like this is year 3 or 4 of Torts being in Philly. And what I think he meant was he's not interested in being a part of this developmental rebuild thing. Like he wants to be playing in competitive games, meaningful games down the stretch in the spring, in March, leading into the playoffs. And it's important context with the Flyers. There's the now and the then. The now is they've lost 6 straight. They have won 2 out of 13 games in March. Despite having a huge homestand, they only won 1 of those games. But the big thing for me, this is the 2nd straight year the Flyers have essentially died. Like the moment March began. I don't remember what their record was from March 1st onward last year. I'm pretty confident it was one of the probably bottom 5 in the NHL because they were competing. They were pretty comfortably in a playoff spot. maybe not comfortable enough, I guess, on account of they didn't make it. They lost basically every game. And last year, you're like, all right, well, they lost their starting goaltender mid-season, I guess. Like, maybe that's something. I mean, this year is just completely uncompetitive.
And you finally get your goaltender of the future in Fedotov, and he's not looked anywhere near what you signed him to.
Neither is Urson.
Yeah, but I don't think they saw him as the goaltender of the future.
No, well, or Kolosov, who was with them earlier in the season, but last night it was such a completely. I'm glad the Leafs dismantled them. First of all, they've lost a lot of those games, right, where they should win and then don't.
It was a statement game after the Nashville game, no question.
They killed them because they should have. But the defense in front of the goaltending is so bad. I'm like, I'm gonna give the goaltending a break, and then I watch other goals and I'm like, God, they're just not even sort of NHL quality. We've talked about the difference between the Sharks and the Blackhawks, and I think it's just how everyone's feeling, and it's an attitude. Things are miserable in Philly right now. Miserable. No one's feeling good about how anything is going.
So I want to focus on John Tortorella there, because I think he's outstayed his welcome. And I think it's so embarrassing for him to say that about his own players, where it's like, I don't have the time to coach these guys in this losing scenario where everything's awful. But that's what you signed up for, Torts. Like, did you think that this team was going to be the Jets of this year or the Capitals and just be steamrolling through the East or the league? Like, this is what this team is. They're a rebuilding team. And I liken it to a teacher who has a class of bad students and none of them are good and they can't learn anything.
So
And the teacher throwing up their hands and be like, I don't want to teach this class. No, this is your job. You are here to educate these kids and get them to the level and try your best, do your best, and try and make them learn whether they can or not. That's your job. And as John Tortorella, as the coach of this team, is to coach these young players. You might not have a lot of stuff there. It might just all be scraps, but it's your job to be in there through thick and thin with this team. Else you shouldn't be the coach. Yeah. And I don't think he should be the coach right now if he looks at a game like this and looks at the season and says, you know what, I don't really want to be doing this.
Yeah.
Come on. I don't want to tell him to shut up. I almost did, but no.
Well, it is how you feel.
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah.
There was a tweet I saw that was like, listen, I don't want to show up to my job either, but I make $16 an hour. This guy makes $4 million.
I don't publicly then go to my boss and say, I don't want to be a part of this. That's what he did in front of the whole world.
Here's the thing.
It's a bad quote.
No, the quote is, I'm not interested.
Interested.
That's the part that really grabs people, because you never hear a coach go, I'm not interested. Because if the coach is saying it, man, what are the players saying?
Or that's egregious.
Yeah,
I know what you're dying to know. How am I going to make this about the Leafs?
Please.
No, well, if Brendan Shanahan is to be believed, like, Dubas may have come back after the 2023 season until he gave a press conference where he said some stuff where he was like, all right, we can't do this anymore. Like, this can't continue.
Yep.
Dubas said something along the lines like, I got to think about my family and I'm unsure if I want to continue with this role because his contract was up, right?
Yes.
So he was like, I need to go think about it. And what Shanahan wanted in that moment was Dubas to go up to the podium and say, I'm here for this. I'm here for the crest. I'm here for the Leafs. I want a new contract, all that. And because Dubas was wishy-washy on it, Shanahan drove on the Gardner and said, you know what? Fuck this guy. Like, I'm out. and Torts being like, I'm not interested in this. Yeah. It's the same thing. You're so right.
Do you think it was fuck this guy, or I picture just all right? That's what I see. He even let go of the steering wheel just for a second. Went, all right.
He wasn't moving anyway. It's the Gardner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He threw his hands up.
He could have walked home, honestly.
Yeah,
the traffic
and it would have been faster. John Tortorella will not be the coach of the Flyers next season.
He can't be.
You don't think so, eh?
No.
See, I think the Flyers are stubborn enough to keep him. And here's what I want to throw at you guys, because I want to know if this changes your perspective. Kevin Kurz, who is the athletic reporter for the Philadelphia Flyers, he's for The Athletic, but covers the Philadelphia Flyers, said that he spoke to Owen Tippett earlier that morning. And Owen's been around for all of this.
Good.
So good.
We talk about how bad the Flyers are. That's a great player.
So he said Owen Tippett admitted this morning how tough it's been on him emotionally since some of the changes. And the changes were some major trades. We forget about Frost and Farabee, Lawton, Eric Johnson. He said, I'll tell you one thing. It's easier to get traded than it is to be on the other end of it, especially Frost and Farabee. Before I came in, we were good friends. So that one was tough. Lawton and Eric Johnson, they are big pieces of this locker room. It took a while. I think everyone in here felt a hole missing when those guys left. They were big parts of our team. So, I wonder too, Scott Lawton, who Torts had nothing but great things to say about when he came through Toronto, yesterday morning, when he talked to the Toronto media about Scott Lawton. And obviously Chris Johnson wrote a really great article in The Athletic about Scott Lawton leaving, and Danny Briere mentioned that, they both were emotional about it because Briere and Lawton were friends and they were teammates back in the day, which I had forgotten. Like Lawton's been around.
Lawton been around that long?
He's been around long enough to have been teammates on Philly with Briere, which is crazy.
Wow.
That might be part of it too. It's like if John's talking from that perspective, because I'm trying to understand where he's coming from. When he says that, and he's an emotional guy, he's like, not only do we have a team that's in a really tough way, but I got to rebuild a locker room culture again, kind of, because I've had these guys for a couple years.
That's what the millions of dollars are for.
So I think all of Adam's points are valid, but that's your job.
That's your job. That is in the job definition of why you are there on the Flyers. And Daniel Briere is a smart guy. Yeah. I don't think he's going to look at the situation and be like, we can continue with this head coach who is not interested in doing the job title.
Yep. And let's use another example from that division. You trade Brock Nelson, you're selling. You're a seller. And the Isles are still fighting tooth and nail for a playoff spot in the East. They might just get one. It's looking tough. It's looking real
If the Situation Room wasn't the Situation Room, the Islanders would be in a playoff spot right now because they would have another point in the standings and they would win the tiebreaker in regulation wins against the Canadiens.
Imagine you get a first-round pick, Cal Ritchie, and make the playoffs in the same year. I'm sorry. Lou Lamoriello all of a sudden goes from when is this old man going to retire to like GM of the year stuff.
Well,
because
he'd win his own award. Right?
He would.
The Lou Lamoriello GM of the Year award goes to Lou Lamoriello.
Congrats to me. You got a job to do.
Yeah.
You got a job to do. You got games to win. Like I'm looking down the East. The Rangers are a little tougher because they bought and sold and it was a little weird. You can't quit on the season.
No, and like
Pittsburgh's gone on somewhat of a run that's cooled down.
Right, and the Flyers are going to be in last place very soon because the Buffalo Sabres can just win one of the 3 games they have in hand and pass them in the standings. And you look at the team, it's not great. Like the players that played last night against the Leafs, it is a collection of not the best collection of hockey players. You understand why this team is struggling so much. We're getting a lot of chirps from the Mike Ricci.
Literally Mike Ricci. Oh,
that's a lot of fun.
We came into the arena yesterday. First guy we see, Joe Thornton.
Walking out of the locker room.
Yeah, and he's gigantic.
Big as shit.
Yeah. That's Mike Ricci. Cow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just looking at the roster that played last night, it's not pretty. Yeah. You understand why Torts is frustrated. You can't say it. You can't say that publicly.
And listen, let me say this. When you were the Flyers, so I'm looking at Kevin Kurz's article. So let's have a look at the remaining schedule. From what Kevin says, the only team left to play that's still in the playoffs for them in their 9 remaining games is Montreal tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, you got the Sabres, the Preds. You get the Montreal Canadiens again, the Rangers who are sort of in it, the Islanders who are sort of in it. They're in the race. And then you got some Sens, Blue Jackets, Sabres.
So
there are winnable games where they can take this moment and go, let's finish strong and feel good about ourselves going into the summer.
All right, Adam. Devil's advocate. Let me put on.
I guess I think I'm being the devil's advocate here. I don't think it's you.
No. Well, yeah. Sorry. Well, because you're saying, hey, there's some winnable games.
There are winnable
Show me what you got. Counterpoint. Dun, 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 dun. This is a huge couple weeks here for the Flyers franchise because you lose out. All of a sudden, you're going to get, the top of this draft is crazy.
Yep.
Schaefer, Misa,
Porter Martone.
Martone. I know there's another one I'm missing.
Zach,
in there.
but why can't I
Are you
say
thinking
the
of Zane Parekh?
No.
Oh,
P.A. Parento.
Huh?
P.A. Parento.
Yeah,
P.A. Parento.
Ovechkin.
Yeah, that's right. P.A. Parento. You're right.
No,
Man, but great young player.
No, well, so listen, the worst place to be is probably, I don't know, 5 points back of a playoff spot, because like you can't even really hang your hat on, oh yeah, boy, we were close.
Yeah.
You also didn't make it, and you're also not really among the teams that are picking the highest unless you win the lottery. You're probably picking, I don't know, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, something like that. Flyers are going to go top 5 here if they if this keeps up.
I was going to say, I was tweeting with Flyers Nation last night, and because they were tweeting about, like, they're in the zone that we were in 14-15, which is, oh, this is hilarious. Hopefully it lands us Austin
Tank
Matthews.
Nation.
Or 15-16, I think that's, Tank Nation.
Yeah.
And
fifth last right now.
I think we both got what we wanted out of that game.
Yeah, no,
right?
What's happening right now is the Buffalo Sabres continually have the worst tank job in the history of mankind, and they're going to play themselves out of the 4th worst record in the National Hockey League. The Flyers, because they suck so hard, are going to get more and more lottery balls. This is a great thing if you're rooting for the future of the Flyers.
There's only 4 teams beneath the Flyers in the standings, and all of them won their last game.
Yeah, like the Flyers are doing great if the tanking is the goal, so be very happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
like, you shouldn't expect this team to win.
Well, and you should expect them to be in it, though. That's the difference. You want them to be a little in some of these games. That's the problem. It's like,
the Leafs,
do you want the Horacek Leafs, or do you want the Mike Babcock, they still finish last place Leafs?
Right.
I
think the Leafs and Flyers had a handshake agreement. You know what? We figured out why the Leafs were so good in the first period against Nashville and then just fell off. The Flyers called them up frantically first intermission, and they said, hey, listen, we are just going to lay down on Tuesday. Let Nashville get 2 points here.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't want this. Did you see us play Chicago on Sunday? We don't want this.
That's funny.
Just we'll lay down our arms. Let us get the first goal so there's plausible deniability. Mm-hmm. Conspiracy theory. Truther Steve.
That's right. That's right.
Here.
I would love to get some truth serum in John Tortorella and let him know his actual thoughts on what he expected. But like, what did he expect?
I think you got them.
He really?
I know.
Like Bobby Brink on your second line, Noah Cates centering his line.
You
like
mean Bobby Brink at the playoffs?
Like that's very far. Yeah, but like you got to look at the roster and be honest with yourself. Yeah. Did he think he could coach Fedotov into being a great goaltender when we have all the evidence in the world that he's not really good right now?
Dude,
Urson's terrible. Like he has no goaltending. What is his expectation?
Yeah. You know the saying like, "Well, you're just looking for darts," and it's like they just did this. just covered their eyes and threw 5 darts at the same time. We're doing Fedot Urson. We're doing. I think they even had a 4th guy in there too.
They probably did. Pull Cal Peterson out of retirement.
Oh, yeah. I think he did play. I'm not totally sure. Boy, it's just a miserable time.
Yeah, I want any team in this league to try and win games with like an 890 save percentage day after day.
You can't lose to the Sabres. You can't.
Now
you got to have one win against the Sabres.
I don't know. They have better goaltending.
Is that a dire?
You're so right.
Damn.
Like
UPL is way
UPL's
better.
Decent.
Yep.
Like,
is that a dire, unfixable situation, or do you look at them the way? Now I feel stupid for even trying to say this.
Okay, do it. No, go for it.
Well,
commit.
Feel
to
stupid.
I'm committing to it.
All right, stupid Steve.
Colorado
go full stupid.
Was like, dude, our goaltending sucks, and this is why we're losing. And the difference is they're able to score their way out of problems.
Yes,
unlike the Flyers. But our goaltending sucks. This is why we're losing. So they traded everybody and acquired everybody.
Yeah.
Are the Flyers a goaltender away from being somewhat? No. Give me a sec.
Boy.
From being respectable. And now my answer is already no. And here's how I know that. The team directly above the Flyers is Seattle, who have Joey Decord, who's legitimately good.
Ryan, who works behind the scenes here and is helping us graciously throughout our time here in San Jose. Yeah, he's laughing at you right now. At this reach. Ryan has set all this up and made all this happen. And Ryan's going, Steve, where are you going with this?
No, I think perception perception's kind of funny.
Yeah, okay.
sometimes because I think from the clips, it's these guys are just Leaf homers and blah blah blah. Meanwhile,
We're not.
no,
I mean, we are.
Oh, we definitely are.
Are we homers though?
But
It's like sad and depressed.
what we actually do like 80% of the time is try to solve problems.
Right.
Try to solve problems and go, well, maybe the Flyers, Steve, the Flyers.
Yeah.
I tried.
No,
you're
your example of that is the Ducks, who have Dostal at a 907 and Gibson at a 913, and they are still 26th in the league. So yeah, decent goaltending doesn't make you a good team.
No,
That's
but
it.
simply, but if they add some scoring to that, they might be.
Yeah, there you go. There's
Score some
something.
goals.
Gibby to the Flyers?
No.
Gibby to the Flyers?
No, they're going to keep him now.
Yeah, what are
Why
you talking
would
about?
Listen, with the cap going up, that $6.4 million all of a sudden became a really great deal.
Jesse, what happened to your boy?
Hey, we're not talking about that.
Who are we talking about?
Billy Huso's 1-6.
No. Say
He's
the
got
same
an
percentage.
8.74 save percentage. Not great.
It's a good thing Jesse's not picking your goaltending. That's all I got to say.
Where did the one come from?
When do we get to talk about Steve's fantasy team?
Oh,
Wait a
I'm
second.
cooked.
Oh, man.
I'm cooked.
Yeah, so Steve, you had a pretty good year in fantasy, didn't you? But you're
okay.
you're about to go out in the second round, first round?
I'm definitely losing it.
Okay, what happened?
But what happened?
Yeah, tell us, Steve.
Draisaitl is hurt. Hurdle is hurt. Uyghur is hurt. I think he's back, but now Pietrangelo is hurt. Velarde is hurt. And also yesterday, I made this mistake once earlier this season, and I haven't made it since. I just did the start all the good players button.
Nope, that's not what the button is.
Nope, it's not.
What is
because
the button?
Mitch Marner
So
was scratched.
if you use Yahoo for your fantasy hockey, if anybody who doesn't play fantasy hockey, there's a button you can use that says start all active players. And if you have, say, a lineup of 12 guys, but you have 13 players that night, it'll just pick one random and insert the 12 guys into your lineup, and that one scratch will be in your bench. So Steve hit that button, walked away.
it dressed Hurdle.
And Hurdle, who did not play,
Who is
was
Hurdle?
in his lineup, and Mitch Marner, who is Mitch Marner and played in a game where the Leafs scored 7 goals, was on Steve's bench because Steve, even though it's the playoffs, you decided to have zero attention to detail.
I am on a work trip in California.
What do you get points for? What do you get points for?
You didn't look at your lineup once
No.
and notice Mitch Marner on your bench for a guy who's
I would
not
never
playing?
assume he's on the bench.
Okay.
What?
I'm suing you.
What do you get points?
I'm suing
What do you get points for?
Goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal.
Plus minus?
No.
Okay, good.
Hits,
I hate plus minus.
blocks are like surprisingly valuable.
Okay, well I can tell you he only had 1 assist last night.
Yeah. So that's like 2 points.
He had no power play points. He had a shot.
Half a point.
Yeah, he actually played very few minutes last night. 16:43.
Do you know what Hurdle got from the press box? Can you tell us what he got from the press box?
I'm looking at his stat line: 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Do us a favor, quit. You know that. You remember that press conference, right?
No.
Sam, what was his name? Sam
Mitchell?
Sam Mitchell.
Yeah.
We got guys on the stat line 0, 0.
With a very deep cut
It's a great
Raptors
Sam.
reference.
He was great.
Steve, you're just your fantasy is always just a giant ball of fun.
I am at the bottom of the toaster cooked.
Now,
And it's, what day is it? Wednesday?
we started off this show, and I didn't know this, but we've got 2 great guests today. So first off, we're going to have the president of the San Jose Sharks.
Yes.
That's happening. Don't worry, we're still going to talk about the Leafs here too. Also joining us, and I just wanted to get this in as early as possible so people know, is William Eklund.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Jesse and I just learned that.
We learned that with you.
Isn't that cool?
Audience?
Yeah,
Yes.
so William Eklund is going to be joining us, which is amazing. We're so excited to be talking to him. So I
Wow.
just thought I'd throw that in there, and now I'm going to segue to the Leafs, and then we're going to talk to Jonathan Becher, who is the president of the San Jose
And
Sharks.
alternate governor.
And alternate
He
governor.
said it was
Yes.
really important we get that in there.
And he said we could call him JB if we
Yes.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and he's
So we're like buddies now.
He's awesome. You're gonna love him. But first off, we're talking to a president of an NHL franchise.
It's
in
pretty
what
darn cool.
universe?
Very silly.
Nylander gets his 40th goal. He is one of 4 Leafs that have ever done 3 40-goal seasons in a row. I
Wow.
believe Sittler
Wow.
and McDonald, and then obviously Austin, who's done it 5 years straight. But I think this year that streak's over. Nylander said, "I'm just trying to do what I'm paid to do. That's it."
He's the coolest guy in the world.
He is a one-liner machine.
Oh yeah.
And like, I don't know if he knows it.
Oh, I think he knows it.
What is it? The youths call it? The kids? Aura?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tremendous aura.
Nylander this year has been fascinating because before, everybody would tell you that what went down to the Leafs that he was a terrible quote. This year, he's been knocking them out of the park. Remember it was like, oh, it's 3 losses. What's the big deal? And then they won 3 straight. He's like, it's 3 wins. What's the big deal?
Big deal.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, he's still a terrible quote in that he won't say much. Like, he's good at one-liners, but if you want him to talk for more than 2 sentences, like 2 sentences is the cutoff. He's not expanding
Not a great
more
podcast
on
guest?
that. No, not in terms of the scrums with us when we're there. Like, outside of that, he seems like he has more personality than is willing to show, and we saw that a bit in the Amazon doc when he was at Sugo sitting there with Pasternak.
His cool hat.
Just hanging out, talking, like, oh, you can say more words, William. Can you give us a little bit more of that when we're talking to you? But he refuses to. He's also allergic to shirts. So
Yeah.
Which I would be.
If I looked like that, yeah. Weirdly enough, we don't look like that.
No.
It's shocking.
I don't know. I'm going to speak to the manager about that. I'm going to remind you of the really unfortunate Mike in Buffalo quote. When
that?
William Nylander was with the Marlies, we were talking about how quick his press conferences were. He's like, yeah, that's why I call him 90-second Willie.
Oh.
And like right away I go, Mike, I don't think that nickname is going to stick.
But I gotta say, he is the perfect athlete to play in Toronto.
Yes.
Like, he is exactly what you want out of a Toronto Maple Leaf. Nothing is ever going to faze him. He's never going to give too much to get him in trouble. Or if he says something that's like kind of, ooh, he said that, he knows what he said.
In his 3 losses, what's the big deal?
Exactly.
And then he goes out.
Yeah.
And he backs it up because he doesn't care. Like, that's the thing. He's going to perform at the same level every time. And he's the perfect Toronto Maple Leaf.
The great thing, too, is he's had 3 straight 40-goal seasons. And looking at his stat page right now, they're all even 40 goals. It wasn't like 41, 43, 45. It's 40, 40, 40. He's going to score more this year. He is currently he's currently 9 goals behind Leon Draisaitl. He's second in league scoring in goal scoring. So goal scoring totals are down a little bit this year.
Yes.
Leon Draisaitl is at 49, but he's going to be out for at least another week. Can Willie catch him in the next week?
I say yes.
It's definitely
Can we be Leafs
possible,
homers
but like,
in the next week, Steve?
boy, that's hard. Boy, that's hard, man.
Not possible.
Well, none of them against the Sharks, right?
No, he's going to zero
Yeah.
goals against
And then just making sure he's going to light up the Kings, light up the Ducks.
Oh.
No one's ever heard of either of those teams.
Yeah. He's going to
And, embarrass them, truly.
Better question. Does he hit 50?
Well, he needs 10.
Yeah.
And he's
Oh,
got.
boy.
He hasn't missed a game this year, has he?
No.
They have 11 games left, man. Like,
What are you taking?
You're gonna need
No.
a Hattie, and then you're gonna need this. You're gonna need a lot.
it's way more fun to say yes, but no.
No. All right.
I would really love it if he could.
Yeah.
But he has been day in and day out, and I think this is why I wanted to kind of spotlight him, is when the Leafs guys have been down, when Austin and Mitch were, especially after the Four Nations, really under the microscope for their play or their lack of production, because they were strong defensively. Mitch was right, they were strong defensively.
Sure.
And by the way, throughout that entire time, Austin Matthews was on like a 12-game point streak, and people were like, this guy sucks, what's going on? William Nylander was the best player on the ice for them. And has continued to be. What is that? What other than he's really good at hockey? Like, there seems to be. There was a time when William Nylander, of those 3 guys, was like, well, he takes a shift off, and he did.
Yeah.
Or he drives coaches crazy, and he did. This year, though, he just seems to be. It's like he's not a boy anymore. That's a man out there.
Yeah. It's worth repeating that, like, John Tavares is legitimately unreal this season, and
It's crazy they haven't re-signed him yet.
yeah,
The number's going up.
Yeah, that number should be
That's what it
going
looks
up.
like.
he's been legitimately unreal. But there have been not a few. There have been a lot of times this season where the Leafs aren't generating anything, and Willie just has a shift where he goes, "Okay, here we go. Watch me cook." And he had one the other day. I think it was against the Sens. Nothing was happening. Nothing. And he was just like, all right, I'm going to keep going until it goes in. I'm just going to. What's your name again? Is this Michael Amadio? Or I can't remember who the Sen was. He just made him look like a fool. And the Leafs ended up losing that game, obviously, but the only reason that game was competitive is because Willie decided to just take over. And he had a few of those against the Flyers. He has a few of them every game.
Now, I know we haven't clinched the playoffs yet, but we are already clinching because we're Leaf fans. And I just want to say this. Of the guys you need going into the playoffs,
Willie.
He's the guy that consistently is the best of the three, I think, in the playoffs, and he's going. So that to me is like, if, because Leaf fans around this time of year, everybody else is like, oh, the sun is shining, the snow is melting, everything seems good. Hey, and the Leafs are going into the playoffs. Oh God, I'm filled with existential dread. The one thing you got to look for is some positives. And they're in first place, and Williams going. He's going.
Here's a weirdly optimistic way to look at it. The Leafs have actually, they're near the top of the division.
They're at the top of the division. And they've got the tiebreak. Jesse, what's the tiebreak again?
Regulation wins, RWs.
And they are ahead of the Panthers in regulation wins.
The tiebreak switched.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But they're winning games kind of the way with production sort of set up the way it often is in the playoffs, if that makes sense. Willie's the top guy out of the three, right? Matthews is playing well all around, but he's not sniping like friggin' last year. Like, he didn't score at a 69 goal pace in the playoffs.
Yeah,
put it that way.
Well, because he didn't play.
Well, that too. Marner, he's tapered off a little,
but a career season.
He's still really, really good, but Willie is the best of the three, and that's the way they've won a lot of playoff games. So, we talk about getting hot at the right time. What if there's still room for Matthews to get hot?
Oh, I think there is.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. Like, if you're looking for an optimistic way of looking at this, that's what I would say.
And the thing about Willie's game that I think has really come into its own this year is his goal scoring ability. He's shooting the highest shooting percentage of his entire career. He's shooting 17.2%.
That's high
so far.
It's not like
on this year.
outrageous.
It's not. That's not crazy, but he's never shot that high in his career before, and he's taking a crazy amount of shots as well. So the more he's been shooting, like the better he's
the
been
percentage
at scoring goals.
How funny is that? Okay, well, listen, lots to be excited about. You know what? Let's get to our first interview here.
Yeah, we got to cut ourselves off
that's
here.
Right. Yeah, Jonathan Becher, San Jose Sharks president and alternate governor. Hey, Canada, McDonald's just dropped some brand new breakfast menu items that you're going to love. The Smoky Maple Bacon and Egg McMuffin, which is what I have.
Oh, you get to read it.
Delish. There's the Smoky Maple Sausage and Egg McGriddle, which Steve has.
That's what I got.
As Jesse's got in that bag, the Smoky Maple Chicken Breakfast Sandwich, all made with real Canadian maple syrup, available for a limited time. And that limited time is mid-April, so you got to get it done.
Yeah, they're only available during breakfast time.
That's right, before 11.
Yeah.
So whether you've worked like a long overnight shift or your early morning and you're constantly late like we are, you might want to try. Stop.
Give me a little lick. Give me a lick, Steve.
No.
Steve has the smoky, like I said, Smoky Maple Sausage and Egg McGriddle.
Oh.
Sweet, smoky, delicious. Jesse, tell me about the taste of the Smoky Maple Chicken Breakfast Sandwich.
Oh, why don't I have a little lick-see?
Here, I'll hold the mic.
There's
It's got smoky Canadian maple syrup sauce.
Stop licking it.
Stop.
Stop it. Stop it.
Look, I like licking my McDonald's. You can eat your McDonald's however you want. I like to lick mine.
Okay,
That's fair.
And there you have it. McDonald's new Smoky Maple Breakfast Sandwiches. There's 3 of them, and they're all winners. Available till April 14th. Try one in restaurant or order in with McDelivery for a limited time. Jonathan Becher joining us. He is the president of the San Jose Sharks, president and alternate governor. But that's too serious of a title, right?
Yes, I'm not that.
I made the mistake of calling you Mr. Becher before it started. And you're like, no, it's Jonathan.
Mr. Becker's my dad.
Okay, all right.
John, even?
John.
Yeah,
I don't like John.
No, it's Jonathan.
JB, if you need a nickname.
Oh,
JB. All right.
JB. So listen, president of the team with the number one crop of young players in the NHL, and that's not me saying that. That's the guys at the Athletic saying that. This is a brand and a city that's on the rise. This is very exciting. What's it like for you? You've seen this team come off of its most successful run in history when you took over in 2018. Then obviously we have COVID, and then you make the decisions to rebuild, and now you're here. Does it feel like finally yes, like we're finally making good on this plan? Like, how is it feeling for you today, right now?
There's like a couple different ways to answer this. The first way to answer is the fan in me. Before I joined the franchise, I was a season ticket member for a decade. Before that, I was a partial plan trying to save up money and all that. And so the fan part of me is like, yes, I can see this actually coming. It's not just the prospects pools, but the guys that are on the ice already, et cetera. So you can see it building back up, back to that 20-ish year run where we only missed the playoffs for 4 years.
Yeah.
Had one of the highest percentage wins in the history of hockey, let alone sports overall. And so from that perspective, it just feels gratifying. From a business perspective, it's hard. It's hard work because everyone always wants to say that, we didn't even say it for years. We wouldn't want to say rebuild. We invented other words, retool, retinker. I think we went through the entire dictionary looking for words that started with that didn't mean rebuild. But at some point, you got to admit to yourself what happened before, which was hugely successful, isn't going to get us where we wanted to go. And so we hit stop, traded away some franchise icons, re-looked at the roster and said, let's build in a different way. Let's build from the draft. Let's build from prospects. Let's not do what worked for 2 decades, which is bring in veterans on their second contract and try to push the window that way. And now you see that working as well. So both from a fan perspective and from a business perspective, it really feels good year 2 here.
So this is dangerous. You're going to make me.
You're asking me a dangerous question?
No.
Usually you warm up to that, Steve. Come on, man.
I think it's 3 or 4 before they go to the tough question.
No, because you were a season ticket holder.
Yeah, I don't pay for them anymore.
And I'm sure there were times where you were in the stands going, what are these guys doing? I would never do what these clowns are doing. And then you got to be one of those clowns, right? So I always imagined what I would do as one of those clowns. So how was that transition for you as a fan to the guy in charge of literally everything?
It's a lot harder on the inside than it looks like on the outside. When you're on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, why didn't you just play that guy rather than the other guy? Or why didn't you draft this person rather than the other? I mean, it's really easy to be an armchair quarterback. It's really easy to be an armchair GM. It's really easy to be an armchair at almost anything.
Yep.
Then the reality of the business on the inside shows up. And I think my first year, I was, I guess I can say it now, I was pretty frustrated because the reality of what it takes to run a franchise is nothing what you think of like as a fan. I mean, when you're a fan, you're like, how come the beer's not colder? And how come it's not free? And
I've asked both those questions.
Have you really asked both those questions?
No.
Okay. But there are a whole bunch of things that seem odd and maybe even just stupid to you when you're on the outside. And when you come back in, you go, oh, we didn't just make this up. There are reasons. And the other thing that's harder for me, because I was a tech guy for a long time, particularly here in Silicon Valley, where the tech mantra is let's just blow everything up and try something different, right? It's very much. And so I came in and I was like, oh, yeah, we should try the same strategy here in sports that we try in technology, which is reinvent yourself. And yet sport is deep in traditions, right? We like to tend to look backwards of a player that played back in 1926 and compare that player to somebody. And you can't really do that. And shifting the mental model from backwards looking to experimentation has been hard for me. And I think hard for the organization. It has worked out really well.
Yeah. For me, like this trip, I love traveling. So as much as like the hockey side is fun, just seeing the city of San Jose is also fun. But the amount you guys have built into this facility here that we're at right now and putting the investment into the city of San Jose along with the team and the hockey aspect, how has that been? Because I know this place is the biggest ice hockey facility west of the Mississippi in America, which is pretty cool. And just seeing the growth of hockey has been awesome.
Yeah. So as a franchise, we started in 1991. So 30 some years ago, we opened in the building SAP Center in 93. A couple of years later, played in the Cow Palace, which smells exactly like it sounds, by the way, so from 91 and 92. But ponds don't freeze over in the backyard here, right? So hockey isn't a sport you would just learn by going out in your backyard and picking up a stick, maybe street hockey or ball hockey or one of the other variants. But unless we invest in the community, unless we invest to try to grow the sport, it's not going to grow like it has, to the point that you're right. This facility that we're in right now, Sharks Ice San Jose and Tech CU Arena, is roughly 370,000 square feet. For those of you who don't square feet, that's like 35,000 square meters.
Thank you for the conversion.
No problem. We can do Fahrenheit to Celsius too. If that,
we need that. Yeah,
do need that.
I get you, Torontoites. You don't come across the border that often, and don't really know how to do the conversion. We adopt your Canadian ways from time to time.
Thank you.
By the way, I think it's 27 outside for those of you stuck back in Toronto. So
yeah,
it is.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
what's really interesting to me is the growth of the game. We have like for the 200,000 adult hockey participants now.
Wow.
If you go back a decade ago, it was only 100,000. If you go back 20 years ago, it was like 5,000. And so that growth as well. If you go actually wander around the building, which hopefully you guys
we have a couple times,
you'll see little kids from 2 years old skating and stuff like that. That didn't exist 30 years ago. That is not something you can do overnight. That requires patient capital. And one of my favorite things about this franchise, which started before I got here, is the willingness to think long term, the willingness to invest in the future. So now, these days, San Jose is a hockey town. It really is.
Yeah.
Walk around, you'll see people in jerseys. They'll see you guys. They may recognize the three of you. I don't know.
We'll see.
And I know like the 49ers are down the road and the Warriors are down the road, but you know what I'm talking about. But here in San Jose, you guys are the pro sports team. You're literally a hockey town. That's it.
We like
awesome.
to say, we are the only team that was born here in San Jose, grew up in San Jose, and stay committed to the city of San
it's
Jose.
really cool.
It's interesting too, because obviously as we sit here in Tech CU, this is a relatively new facility.
Full season.
And listen, you talk about the Cow Palace smelling. I mean, have you seen where the Marlies play?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it smells like that there too. And I because the Toronto Police Horse Barn is next door. Why invest so much money in the AHL team and the AHL experience? Because they did used to play in the NHL rink from time to time, did they not?
They did. In fact, if you go back a decade, the San Jose Barracuda, as they're known, were called the Worcester Sharks, and they played actually outside of Boston. And so the very first thing we did, along with some of the other NHL teams, is bring our AHL franchises out here to the West Coast.
Across the continent?
To create the Pacific Division of the AHL, which didn't exist a decade ago. And that was a big commitment in hockey as well. Because frankly, it's one thing to get a professional hockey team at the top tier to get a fan base, which we've done. It's yet another thing to have a second tier to grow that fan base. And that's been a journey as well. There weren't a ton of people at that first couple of Barracuda games. I think we averaged like 500 or 700 the first couple of years. So back to your question, which is, if you want to grow the game, and over the year, hopefully one day we'll have a women's team here. Hopefully one day we'll have a junior hockey team as well, and maybe ECHL. And I hope this grows over the next 30 years to look so much different than it does now as well. Then you can't ask the AHL team to play in an NHL barn. That's just not fair. You're not going to have 17,000 people show up. It's not going to happen that way. You need something that's appropriate to them. And we view this as a multi-use facility. We actually have the Harlem Globetrotters in this building as well.
That's so cool.
We have fight nights in this building as well. We do mini concerts in this building. And so it becomes another thing for the San Jose to be proud of, not just the hockey team, but a 4,500 seat multi-purpose arena that we activate. It's called 100 days a year.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So good. That's and I think the thing is too, like, to get to know you a little bit better. First off, for you, why hockey? Why'd you get into hockey? Why'd you become a season ticket holder? And then, before that, a half season guy and all that.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, you're from here, are you not?
No, I'm not. I grew up in a really tiny town in Virginia on the East Coast of the United States. So when I say really tiny town, 13 people in my high school graduating class. That's how tiny it is. Middle of nowhere. It's a long story, and I don't love talking about myself. And the answer to hockey is we had one rundown rink, which I learned to skate on with potholes in the corner and broken boards, the whole thing. And after, I think by the time I was 7 or something, that rink closed because it just couldn't support it. And so it was a 50-mile drive to the next rink, et cetera. Wow. And so, I don't know, at about 9 years old, my mom said, you can't play it. This is too much of an investment. You can't do it. And so my parents are European. They met in New York. We grew up in this tiny town. And so I played soccer. And I was a decent soccer player because, it doesn't cost nearly as much to play soccer as to play hockey, which is one of the problems with our sport. But I think I've always a bit of a contrarian. I love things that are hard for me. And I wasn't a great hockey player, but I loved the fact that you had to have sort of the presence of mind of soccer to see where the puck was going, et cetera. A bit of the brutality of the American football sport, the speed of basketball, et cetera. And I'm an average athlete. I'm not a great athlete. And I was okay in all those things, but I couldn't put them all together. And I think that made me appreciate the sport that much more. I moved actually here to Silicon Valley in 1993, right as the big rink opened, SAP Center. And it turned out a random person I met offered me to go to a game. And so I was at game 4, game 5. Yeah, game 5 in the building, et cetera. And I was like, this is my team. I'm no longer rooting for the Washington Capitals. Sorry, guys, because I grew up in Virginia. I'm rooting for this team. And I was making no money back then. I don't know, $20,000 a year. And just every time I could save up money, I went to a couple more games, et cetera. And I just loved the game, and it loved me back.
And you sit, and I know this makes you uncomfortable, but I think this is important because, we got a lot of young people watching this.
Yep.
And I think when we can talk to somebody like yourself who runs an NHL team, who, took a non-traditional path to get here.
Yep.
Right. I want to talk. So first off, I went through your LinkedIn, and by the way, you're one of the quote top voices on LinkedIn, which I thought was amazing.
That's only because I have a deep voice.
Is that what it is? Okay. All right. Well, listen, we'll work on that and try to get in our top voices as well.
Face for radio, they tell me.
I get told it all the time.
Okay. Well, I know.
on the board of Churchill Club, Trintech, Koros, Pixley. You worked at Walmart in the 90s out here, optimizing inventory, which is amazing. But I want to know. So you've done the tech sector. What was your first job? Like your very, very first job that you got a paycheck for?
Would have been 14 years old. I got paid to painting roofs.
Oh, painting roofs.
Yeah. So oral corrugated tin storage sheds, they tend to generate too much heat. So if you paint them with a reflective style paint, it's much better now 40 years later. And I got paid, I don't know, like $2 an hour in the 90 some degree heat to paint. It was a terrible job, but I needed the money.
But you need a terrible job to enjoy the jobs that you're in.
Exactly right.
So then you're here for 30 years. And how does the San Jose job come calling, I guess?
So again, long answer. The short version is when I was at SAP, I was an analytics person by background. That most of the technology I've done has been analytics oriented. And yes, we have an analytics team here at Sharks as well. I actually got, through a series of odd circumstances, got moved into the chief marketing officer job when there was a switch from brand marketers to analytic marketers. Had a conversation with my then CEO who said, help us figure out how to change the brand of what SAP was. And three interesting things happened. One is HP was giving up naming rights for the SAP Center. So I negotiated those naming rights to become the SAP Center.
Very cool. Okay.
So I was like, this is my favorite team. I'm happy to do this as well. So that was one.
Good.
Second is I built a analytics sponsorship group to help sports teams figure out how to use analytics. We did deals with the NBA, the NFL, the Yankees, women's tennis, et cetera. And the NHL taught me more about the business of sports. I don't know, over the span of 5 years, I think we did like 50 of these deals around the world as well. And then the third thing is because Hasso Plattner, the now sole owner, but then the majority owner of the Sharks, is one of the founders, I ended up getting to spend a time with him. He learned that I love the game of hockey. I learned a lot as well. And so when I left when I left SAP 7.5 years ago now, he called me 6 months later and said, I have an idea. And I said yes before he finished this conversation.
Oh, man. Wow. That's cool.
So cool.
Yes.
Yeah. When was the last time you were starstruck in a hockey context?
When was the last time I was when I met you?
That's a great answer. Look at
this. You know what? No one's ever asked me a question like that before. I don't think I have an answer. I would say I have worked hard. I, little kid, grew up in a no town, so I've been starstruck my whole life. I think I'm still starstruck because if you went back and told the 10-year-old me that I'd have this job, there's zero chance I'd believe it. And I easily I wake up and still go, really? How did I get this journey? So starstruck is not quite the right thing, but it'd be amazed that I've made it this far almost every week.
One thing we keep talking about is the amount of alumni, the starstruck people that just walk around here and are with the team like almost on a daily basis, just with their practices. And
Who was the first guy we ran into?
Joe Thornton, just like walking this morning. We saw him.
Hopefully a first ballot Hall of Famer for your voters. So there you go.
Yeah, it speaks so much to the organization that these guys, they come here, they play here, and then they stick around the city. They want to live here, and then they also want to work for the team. And it's so cool to have them just around hanging out with the team. And it means so much, I think, to the young guys.
So I think there's lots of reasons, and you can ask some of them as you talk to them. One is it's not a bad place to live.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
We're falling in love.
Yeah, we could move here.
Yeah.
I mean, culturally, food-wise, I think you guys are starting to figure out that this is a foodie destination as well. But here's the other thing. I think that players maybe underestimate early in their playing career is because Silicon Valley is very much a be whoever you want, you don't spend your entire career in the media spotlight. You can actually raise your family. You can be a real person. You can go to a restaurant and fans will mostly leave you alone as opposed to how, et cetera. And so you're beloved right? But you can actually have a regular, normal life. And that's not true in every city, Toronto.
Yeah. No kidding.
And that means a lot to a fair number of people. And I think that digs deep into people's hearts. And even if they get traded or leave, they leave here with, I guess the other thing is this franchise has always allowed people to have big personalities, which is not always true in every professional sports team as well. I mean, Jumbo was not a small personality when he was here as well, well known for his beloved antics, etc. And because that's deep in our DNA, I think you're attracted back.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that you mentioned earlier on, and this is something that I've heard.
By the way, for the record, they're now looking for homes to live in.
Sharks fan reaction, I think Steve's going to do. Steve actually made a really good point last night. He's like, I don't know how you could, even if there was a bad loss or something, I don't know how you could be upset here. Like,
it's easier to be pissed off in the cold.
When it's cold
trust me, fans are annoyed when we do that. I hear from them. So I see you guys on social media. So.
One of the things that we've heard about behind the scenes here is it's a strategy, pioneering strategy. You mentioned it earlier, where Silicon Valley is very much about breaking something and trying to do something new, reinventing. You guys seem to be completely unafraid of trying things. And we come from the most traditional stuffy market I think there is. Like, the Leafs are they're a first class organization. We work with them on the press side, obviously, but this is the way we've done it. That's the way we do it. You guys don't seem to operate that way.
Look, I don't want to comment about any.
No, I'm not talking about the Leafs specifically. Only yours. Only yours.
An organization often reflects who's around them. So if you think about who's around us, the extended Bay Area, San Jose in particular, it's filled with experimenters. There are, 10,000 tech companies within a few square miles of where we are. Each of them are trying to reinvent the world in their own way as well. And so they're comfortable with reinvention, right? So we were, I think, the first in the Bay Area and only like the 6th or 7th in sports to go to digital ticketing. It seems like no big deal now. What team doesn't have digital ticketing? But when you do it earlier, you catch a bunch of crap, right?
Yeah.
Which we did. And we probably didn't communicate well enough when we started and stuff like that. And a host of fans said, whoa, we don't have smartphones yet. Now that's a silly thing to say as well. And so the question is how early on the eventuality train do you go? And we're willing to go earlier than most people, which means we stub our toe all the time and we make mistakes. But one of the mental models we have is hard on the issue and not on the person. So when you make a mistake, I'm not going to beat you up. I'm going to say, great, what did we learn from that? Help other people not make that mistake as well. And that experimental mindset, we actually tell our fans about as well. We say, this is not a new thing that we always are going to do. This is a new experimenting we're running. And if you guys hate it, we probably won't ever do this again. And if it works out well, we'll do more of it. Another example is we have something called teal tokens, which are a reward-based system. When you buy tickets or food and beverage or merchandise, et cetera, that go into your account, which you can use for discounts on, et cetera. The first year, we had lots of technology problems, as you often do with it, and we caught a bunch of crap. And when I go, separate this, do you like the idea of getting rewarded that the more you, yes. Okay. So then, and now it works pretty flawlessly. Nothing ever works flawlessly, but in the 90% of the time, when we're probably 50% of the time when we started.
Right.
So back to your question, which is you have to be willing to shake things up, because what got you where you get here won't get you to where you want to go. And so that what we often say is we want to pioneer the future of sports and entertainment. I have no idea what our industry is going to look like in 20 years, other than I can guarantee you it doesn't look like what it is now. So we can sit back and wait for somebody else to figure it out, or we can experiment and try to figure it out ourselves.
We might be a part of that experiment, a very small part.
You are.
If you had a guess, what are some of the things you think could foundationally change about the sport or all sports landscape in the next 20 years?
Oh, I'm certainly going to make some people annoyed by if I answer this question, but I'll give you a couple that I've speculated on, which is hockey in particular. We all know that we are very opinionated of the best place to watch a hockey game. Some people like to watch on the glass. Personally, I don't like to watch on the glass, but some people do. Some people like to watch at center ice 12 to 14 rows up. Some people like to watch over the goalie. Some people like the overhead view, et cetera. It's a very personalized decision, and fans often spend a decade or more each year moving their tickets around until they find their favorite view, and then they want to stay in those seats for their entire career, right?
Yeah. Got it.
So that's something we know about hockey. It's less true in American football or baseball, et cetera. Yeah. On the other hand, if you think about the way we televise the sport currently, there are 5 or 6 fixed cameras.
Yes.
And somebody else is picking the way you watch the game. Yeah. Yet we all walk into the arena with their 10,000, 17,000, 20,000 people with high definition cameras in their hands. maybe no offense to all you that might be in broadcasting, maybe there should be alternate casts for every game all the time with thousands of subcasts by people in there. I know their rights fees and all these kinds of things to work out. I get all that. Yeah. And I should be able to choose how I want to watch the game based on thousands of cameras that are in the building, as opposed to just the 5 or 6 or 10 main cameras. That's one example. And maybe it's like the Manning alt cast, and there you guys are on one joking around and some ex-athletes on another breaking down. And I want to be able to watch them all simultaneously, et cetera. I don't have that now. It's right now it's a broadcast. If we all remember where that word came from, that means everyone broadly sees the same thing. I want a very narrow cast, maybe even down to just what Jonathan wants.
Yeah, so we got a VR headset at our office back in Toronto, and it's the MetaQuest 2, I think it is. Okay. And they have the feature to watch NBA games courtside in the VR headset.
So cool.
And I was like, this is the next evolution of watching sports. You throw on the headset and it's like you're there. If you want to watch it from whatever angle of the arena you want, you can jump around. You can be courtside if you want.
Can I put a camera on the top of my goalie's head and watch it, the 100-mile-an-hour slap shot come at him? I would love
that. Yeah.
Right?
I don't know if the goalie would love it.
I don't know either, but maybe if the camera's if I'd asked you 10 years ago, we're going to chips in the jerseys, you would have said no. So maybe 10 years from now, the chip is sewn into the helmet and he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
He or she doesn't even know. I guess we could have women in the game by then as well.
Yeah. So one of the things you also do is you have your logo redesigned every year by a local artist. We'll get a close-up of this, but can we talk a little bit about not just this year's logo, but you do this every year. Why?
Sometimes multiple years. So it comes back to you. Who are we? You could start by saying we're an NHL hockey team, which we are. Actually, we have 2 NHL hockey teams. We have the Sharks and the Barracuda. Actually, we have more than that because we run 9 sheets of ice in Northern California. Mm-hmm. We have a nonprofit foundation, blah, 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 blah. So the question is, are we in the hockey event business? Or are we in the entertainment business? And increasingly, I think we're in the entertainment business. And if we're in the entertainment, the old formula for the hockey business was pretty simple, right? The home team wins. The beer's cold. I tell you, people complain about not cold beer sometimes. Yeah. We actually get complaints we don't have enough Canadian beer.
Oh, really? No kidding.
We do.
No way.
I think if you guys come down, we don't have enough.
That sounds right.
But if you think about it, our competition isn't really other professional sports teams. It's not whether they're going to go to a Warriors game or a Niners game or a Quakes game. That's the MLS team. It's really getting people off their couch. Yeah. The competition is, I don't want to say laziness. That's too negative a word, but it's I'm stuck here. I'll just put on Netflix or stream something else as well.
TikTok
or TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Are you?
Not regular. I am on TikTok, but
I think you'd be good on it.
I do a lot of dances.
No, that's great.
I was just going to say, what's your favorite one?
I do not.
What do you lip sync?
I definitely do not. So if we're in the experience business, there's lots of other things that matter. Your commute matters. Your parking matters. The food and beverage, which is what doubled down there. It's not just whether we win or lose, because we're not going to win nobody ever wins every single. That's never going to happen in the game of hockey where someone goes undefeated the entire year. And so we want to be San Jose's team, the South Bay's team. We want to be embedded there. So we program the building not just for hockey teams, but for concerts as well. And one of the ways to do that is we embrace the local community. And there's a ton of really interesting artists in the local community. Yep. We're not necessarily as well known, but we search out those young things. We actually put out campaigns to have them, and they raise their hands and we say, oh, great, you're an emerging Filipino artist. We'll do a Filipino recognition thing, reinvent, tell us what San Jose means to you in the context of the Sharks, relook at the logo. And we've done this, I don't know, I don't want to make up a number, probably 30 times now over the last 5 or 6 years. And then we create merchandise, hats. We often do a warm-up jersey as well, less so recently, do some changes at the NHL, et cetera. We sell them online and in the store, and proceeds go back to either a nonprofit or the artists themselves.
That's so cool.
Big part of what we are.
That's so cool. What an opportunity for the artists too.
Indeed. And when you come to the building, which have you been in the big building yet?
Not
outside of it.
Not inside. When you wander around, you'll see you ran up. What are you, Rocky?
Honestly, yeah,
we did run up the side stairs. Yeah.
We're tourists.
Did you film it to see which one of you?
Yeah, we sure did.
We did. Yeah.
Steve won. Believe it or not, Steve won.
Steve did win. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, I know. He got a bit of a head start, though. To be honest,
a lot of a head start.
Yeah, first, your last. Pay attention.
It must be the shoes.
It's 100% the shoes.
But when you come to the building, you'll actually see murals throughout the building, commissioned by these artists as well. As you wander around downtown, you should look for the 30 or so murals that we have around downtown as well. So it's not just this art, it's public art as well.
Give me your favorite Sharks moment that you were there for. And there have been a lot of good ones. Like you said, like you went back 20 years. I went back. The Sharks made the playoffs in 14 of 15 years.
Right.
And 10 of those years, they were in the second round or later, which is an unbelievable run of success. And you would have been a season ticket holder.
I would have been. And you know what? I don't think I realized how spoiled we were. All that thing.
As Leaf fans, we do. Oh my God.
It almost became, oh yeah, we're in the playoffs again. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, wake me in the second round. I mean, I'm a little bit exaggerating, but it became sort of course we are.
Yeah.
And so there's so many incredible moments. It's hard to pick one. And so I tend to pick the one that almost every Shark fan picks these days is Game 7 against Vegas. We were down 3-0. There was that 10-minute major. I just, came back, et cetera. Pavelski's on the ice bleeding, come back, and then Carlson passed to Goody and we score in overtime and Goody's back on the team now. So that's the one that most fans, and geez, that's as loud as I've ever heard any building in my entire life. And that's got to be a top 10 moment in all of sports. But years before that, there was a 5-on-3 penalty kill. Actually, if you meet Scott Hannon, ask about him, where we were down 2 players. Hannon broke his stick, so it's actually 5-on-2, 1.5, and we killed 1:43 in a playoff game, and that might have been the second loudest I've ever heard our building. That was pretty incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So okay. I just ask you very quickly.
I got one more.
Give it to us.
Yeah, well, actually,
top 3 power rank them. Let's go.
This is an unusual one. So we were, I think, the only, happened in Canada a lot, but not so much in the U.S. We got kicked out of our building during COVID and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we had a whole lost season where we couldn't play in front of fans. When we finally came back from Arizona, a few of us were in the bubble allowed to watch, so I got cleared to watch as well. I'm still a vocal fan. And so I screamed at a player who could normally not hear me, but of course there's nobody else in the So he looked up at me. I'm like, this is embarrassing. I should not interrupt an NHL game by yelling at a fan.
That's great. No.
Know it was you?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have a chat about that?
Oh, he gave me crap.
Okay, all right. I will kick myself if I don't ask you this. You're the president.
Yes.
You made the decision ultimately for Mike Greer to be the general manager here,
together with the Sharks owner. Yes,
of course, yeah. But it's turned out to be one of the best general manager decisions we've seen in the last half decade. And I'm saying that not because you're sitting beside me, but the results are in the direction of the team. Everybody looks at the Sharks because it's Chris Johnson, who works on our network, always says you're selling wins or you're selling hope.
Yep.
And pretty soon you're going to sell both.
Yep.
And the wins are coming. I think next season the Sharks are going to be a real problem. Why Mike Greer? What did you like about him?
So first of all, I'd never hired a GM before, right? And so there were lots of people who were giving me advice. Here's how you hire a GM. In fact, quite a few people handed me lists of here's pre-approved GMs. You should hire one of those. But I've hired tons of executives in my career. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. And so to me, it was hiring a person and a GM. And there's 2 different things there as well. And one of the first things I said is I don't necessarily want a GM that's done it before. Because if I've got a GM that's done it before, they've got a mental model of how it's going to work, and it didn't work out for them necessarily. There aren't that many GMs that were wildly successful that are going to be on the market wanting to come to San Jose. Because remember, 2.5 years ago, people didn't have the belief in us that you guys have now. There were a lot of people very skeptical about what we were doing.
Well, I've been a truther for over a year now.
So to use a bad analogy, I kissed a lot of frogs.
Okay.
I think there were, but assistant GM Joe Will and I think between the 2 of us, we talked to 43, 44 people.
Wow.
Most of those by Zoom. I think we only got to 14 in person or so, but a lot, much more. And we took, some people think way too long because, a lot of people say you should be able to do this in 3 or 4 weeks. I think we took 12 weeks to do it. Because we just wanted to be a little bit analytical, a little bit emotional, double down. And we were looking for people with strong points of view. That was one of the things. And quite a few people I could tell were trying to figure out what the answer was, and then we're going to feed back the answer to us. And we had been in this, we don't want to rebuild. We don't want to rebuild. I think I joked to some of you guys, we're inventing words all the time, retool, reshape, at one point, I think we opened the dictionary and highlighted a bunch of words to figure out what not to say the word rebuild. We were resisting it incorrectly, as it turned out. But Mike was one of the first candidates that said, I know everything says you guys want to do this. I don't think that's the right answer. You ought to think about it this way. And that was very refreshing from the very beginning. And to be fair, when I started, I don't know if he was going to be the finalist. He impressed me enough in that very first interview that I was like, better not write that guy off.
Yeah.
But, you look at people on paper and they come with reputation, and you try not to be biased, but you go in thinking you know what it was. And Mike just got stronger and stronger and stronger every time I talked to him. We had this very easy camaraderie where I would say something, he's like, that could work. And you could think about it this way as well. And I was like, he's played 1,000 games in the NHL and I've paid 0. That's an interesting point as well. Yeah. And then he would say something. I was like, yeah, but what about this? And that's right. And so it was almost from day one, I could see he'd be a good intellectual sparring partner who would not roll over, even if I was the boss or Hasso said something as well. And he'd been here in San Jose for successful. He was always one of those guys that upped his game in the playoffs. Some of the fans like to call him Big Money Mike because he shows up in big money situations, both as a player and as a GM.
That's what I call him. I ran into him today.
Did you call him that?
No.
He does not like that nickname, so don't call that to him. I hope you didn't.
No, I didn't.
No, he didn't run into him either. He's totally.
We haven't run into him at all.
And he'd be like, Mr. Greer, it's nice to meet you. Like, that's what it would have been.
But in the end of the day, it came down to two folks. And both of them were non-traditional, meaning they wouldn't have shown up on anybody's list. In both cases, I was doing the experimental mindset. Do I have faith that this person, as a first-time GM, can get us where I want to go and maybe not be comfortable in year one, but learn everywhere through the process? And Mike tipped the scale slightly compared to the other one, but I was happy.
That's awesome. Well, JB, you've been so great with your time, guys.
So we have easy with the nickname.
Yeah. So, hey, thank you so much for your time. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Congratulations on everything else that's going on here.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Jonathan Beck. So Alexander Ovechkin scored again. 889.
As he does.
6 away from the record. I'm still saying he could do it in March. He could do it in March. We got a few days left.
How many games do they have left?
Okay, so let's. I'm going to look this up. Give me a second here. Tap dance for me.
Here. Well, Jesse, how are you liking California?
Oh my God! Please don't ask.
2 games. 2 games. Okay. You got the Wild tomorrow, and they're on a skid, right?
Yeah.
And then you got the Sabres on Sunday.
6 goals.
6 goals against.
6 goals would be hilarious.
They really do need. Listen, I know it's the playoffs. Whatever. You need to look them in the eye. You need to hold their hand when you tell them this. I must break you. I know
Ivan Drago.
Sometimes teams at the top of the standings, they take their foot off the pedal a little bit. There's 0 of that going on in Washington. And you don't want to go into the playoffs with this half-cocked.
No, you want to get it.
You want to get it done. You want them to tie the record, break it, just get a lifetime supply, get a carafe full of adrenaline, pour it all over your body, and head into the playoffs with it.
I think that I'm going to be really honest and say I would be sad if he broke the record on the road.
Oh, I'm with you.
I think, honestly, if it happens against the Bruins or the Hurricanes next week, they play April 1st, April 2nd, the Bruins or Hurricanes, I would be disappointed for this, because this is literally a once-in-a-lifetime moment. We are going to see this over the course of our lives once.
Yes.
And for the Caps fans, it means even more.
Yes.
And for that building to have this guy throughout his entire career and then get to this moment and then to do it in Carolina, that's kind of disappointing.
So I don't think that's the way it's
I want the perfect storm to happen. He does it against Chicago or he does it against Carolina at home the next time on the 10th, and that's what it needs to be.
So Jesse, the Sabres game, the Capitals are at home for that.
Yeah, but he needs 5.
Yeah, he's going to get 6. No, he would need back-to-back hat tricks, which he could. I mean, he could.
It's over.
He gets 2 and then 4 or 3 and 3 or something. Yeah.
Can you imagine the poor Sabres have to Sabres fans have to sit through a 4-hour game while they're just getting pumped?
So the reason that I was a little intimidated to say that is because I think I would sit him.
You're insane.
That's crazy.
I
Don't
would
do that.
sit Ovi on the 1st and the 2nd on the road
Jesse.
against Boston, Carolina.
No.
I would only play him once he is within 2. Once he is within 2, I would only play him at home.
You're nuts.
Why?
Why?
Take your
They are
hat on
they
this
are
show.
in the playoffs. They have the first seed. He doesn't need to play the other games.
This is worse than Hellebuck is bad. No, I need you to know that.
This is worse than my combined goals Wayne Gretzky Ovechkin take.
Also
way
bad.
worse. Way worse.
The Capitals
Instagram
have
loved that one.
Oh, I bet they did.
the Capitals have 3 home games left. I would only play him. I would only play him in the 3 games after the Buffalo game. So let's say he gets 1 against Minnesota. He gets, 3 against Buffalo. Let's say it's hat-trick. So he's within 2 by next Monday. I don't play him Boston, Carolina.
Jesse, you can't risk him not beating this.
Next year.
No, you can't do that.
What's wrong? Well, there's always next year.
Here, if you are going to do it on the road, their last game of the season is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no. Then you play him that game. You play him that game. That one's like middle finger to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Look at that.
Who cares?
Turns out they are.
Who cares if he breaks it this year?
What's that?
Who cares?
Ovechkin.
Why?
Alexander.
Why
Ovechkin.
does that matter?
Because I am score.
Why does it doesn't it doesn't matter if he breaks it this year or not? What matters is he breaks it in front of the hometown fans.
It would be nice.
I think that means more.
I think it was on the road.
It was on the road.
The little hoppy skip.
No, that was at home because he was wearing. Here, I'll look it
I'm
up.
trying to remember.
Yeah,
if it was
look
a
it
white
up.
or a black jersey. I think it was black.
I think you sit him every road game.
Okay, scoring against Minnesota.
Sure.
So here we're doing this.
I think we just did.
I'm doing it better. He scored against
You're just
Minnesota.
doing it again.
So Gretzky did it on the road in Edmonton at Northland.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Gorgeous. But hold on. But that was
When I was like 4.
But that was beating Howe's points record.
Oh, so you
not
didn't
the
look it
goal
up
one.
right.
So-
You didn't.
Oh, did I remember the? Oh
No.
wait. He didn't break the record at 894.
Yeah.
No.
It was.
It was how 1851. I think was Gretzky's record.
Yeah.
And then the goals record, how was 801? Gretzky scored 802.
I remember that.
So you didn't look
I
up
don't.
the right thing.
I don't remember it happening live.
I'm gonna find out.
You're bad at this.
Yeah, this is awful.
He
Adam.
broke Howe's goal scoring record, 801. Hang on. Damn it.
How's his Wikipedia?
Hey, you know what?
Ooh,
You know
rough.
what?
Yeah.
Here we
All
go.
right,
1994. It happened in. Okay, history was made March 23rd, 1994, 802. Hey, I'm looking this up on the fly.
Yeah, but this is why we don't ask you to look up things.
Just like that, 30 years ago, the LA Kings. It was on the power play, so it doesn't count. It's not a
Doesn't
5-on-5
count. No, it
right?
doesn't count. They erased it. Yeah, they took it back.
And they were on the road because they were at home because they're wearing whites. They're wearing whites.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Home ice against Vancouver, which is also a dagger.
Also a dagger. I mean, it's.
Oh, so he
every
did it at home?
And he did it at home against
Finally,
Vancouver.
we got
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
sit
yeah.
Ovechkin.
You're absolutely insane.
It's the right thing to do.
Absolutely, completely.
Also, who cares if he breaks it this year? He can break it next year. Game 2
He's breaking it
at home.
If
It doesn't matter.
in that game against the Sabres and in that game against Chicago, he has less than 12 shots on goal in each game. I think each of his line mates should be fined $50,000.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
American.
Follow up.
Okay. All right.
You're the goaltender in one of these games.
10 the goal.
Are you like, this one's going
You don't
want
to be that guy.
What? You want to be the guy.
Absolutely
No,
not.
you don't want to be Wade
You wanna
Flaherty,
be
who
the
was
guy-
in net in the 1851.
You want to be the guy who gave up 73 to Barry Bonds.
No, you don't.
What?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
No, you don't. No.
Yeah, you do.
Worst take again.
That's it. Wow. You're
Yes,
just
all
knocking
time
them
now.
out. Of the
No,
park.
I'm that goal. Okay, so I'm Frederick Anderson. When let's say they play him on the road, Spencer Carberry's like, oh, for the sake of the game, I'll play him on the road.
I'm going to play my captain.
Yeah.
I'm not going to healthy scratch my captain.
Oh, sanctity
yeah.
of the competition
Taylor
match.
Torts, healthy scratch. your captain.
Nonsense
Taylor Torts.
garbage.
This is insane. I can't believe we're having this.
You're
conversation.
out of your
Nonsense
mind.
garbage. Spencer Carberry plays Ovechkin on the road.
We
Okay.
should be forced out of this building and on the first plane
100%.
home.
So
I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
Freddie's in net Wednesday against the Caps in Carolina.
I must break you.
He has he's already tied the record, let's say, and he now is going to beat it. If I'm Freddie, oh my my glove was a little low. Went right by me.
You don't want to be infamous.
I get to be in that photo forever.
No.
Hey, Sonny, look at
but
me. I'm an Ovi
But when they're in the
goal.
picture, they're like sad. Like it's like a sad.
No, but you're in the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's Frederick Anderson making
On the receiving
It's Frederick
end.
Anderson making the Hockey Hall of Fame without this.
No.
Then
Do you think?
here's your way in.
But
Here's your way in.
Do you think Ryan Miller goes into the Hockey Hall of Fame and looks at Sidney Crosby's gloves and he's like, "You see that? Look what Daddy did. Look, that's me."
I think
I
Freddie.
don't think so.
I don't think
If say the Hurricanes are up like 6-1 or whatever, he's like, all right, let's get this thing over with. Ovi, here you go, right through the wickets. 5 holes a little open.
How dare you?
Yeah. Anyways, there you go. Take it or leave it. Spencer Carberry, there's some advice for you.
Jesse Blake.
There's some advice for you.
We're getting looks.
Wow.
We're getting looks.
Maybe we're just too loud. That could be just that.
Yeah.
Well,
We are in here all by ourselves. So. I also want to mention other great hockey players, McDavid and Draisaitl, known for scoring, gonna be out at least another week. And the Oilers, who spotty goaltending, good. Listen, I had an Oilers fan tweet me and go, "You're so wrong about the Oilers. Their defense is actually good." And, yeah. And so anyway, I'm going to...
people will just say anything.
Well, it is the internet.
Anything.
Steve has a long-standing bit about like when you be like, "Can you believe this person said that?"
I can.
Yes.
Steve goes, "Yes."
Yeah, I certainly sure can.
There's like 8 billion people. Yes.
Yeah.
And they're all online,
But-
saying a lot of stuff.
Saying so many things.
Can we look at the objective facts here? And the Oilers are still...
Flyers are making the playoffs.
They've won a game, 6-3.
You got it.
They are
Nailed
6-3-1, and it looks like the LA Kings right now, if the playoffs were to start today, it would be Kings Oilers again, and the Kings would have home ice advantage. I'm wondering, because their home ice splits versus their away, I mean, the Oilers are much... I mean, they're great at home, but they're great away
That's
too.
actually crazy.
Yeah, their home and away splits are about
Oh
even.
my gosh.
Do the Oilers at this point care about home ice advantage?
Did you
is
say
my
the
question.
numbers?
I
think it
No,
bears
say the
repeating.
Kings numbers.
So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
so the Kings care because they're 26-3-4 at home,
Which
and
is
then
unbelievable.
14-18-5 away. Weird.
They are well below 500.
But the Kings are 9-1-0 in their last 10, which is unbelievable.
and
now
they've gained 0 ground on the Golden.
the Oilers are 22-11-3 home, 13-2 away.
That's a pretty normal.
Normal split,
The
right?
Kings, though, is they're fighting for that home ice.
So here's my question, okay? McDavid and Draisaitl out. LA Kings very clearly have to be open in their dressing room about, we want home ice advantage.
Yeah.
We need it. It seems to make a big difference for us, okay? And who could blame them? It's LA. It's a pretty great place to be. So let's talk.
No.
It's terrible. I hate it. Who wins this race now? Who wins the home ice advantage race? Drew is convinced, by the way, that LA is going to catch up to Vegas. I don't think so.
Vegas has won 4 straight.
Yeah,
so
but Drew likes being wrong.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good. So what do we
not
think?
combative though.
Yeah, he just takes his L and walks
What do
away.
you guys think about plus minus?
Yeah, but there's empty net. Anyway,
Chris Pronger just tweets him now.
Yeah.
I know Chris Pronger tweets at Drew.
Yeah,
all
because
the
Drew's
time.
great at engagement bait. Like, nobody can resist.
Really good.
By the way, he's at home recording this, so we better be careful what we say. So what do we think here about this? Like, is LA, like, does Edmonton care? I don't know. Does LA care? I think absolutely.
Edmonton, I think, is just trying to get to the playoffs.
Just get there.
We're resting Draisaitl and McDavid. Yeah. Who cares what we do for the next 12 games? Let's just get there and then get healthy and then play all these games. The Kings seem to be like, we got to fight for stuff. We got to get this home ice. We got to actually compete towards the end and be good going into the playoffs. Kings or the Oilers, who cares?
The Oilers also have to combat with, they went to the Cup final.
Yeah.
Right? So there is going to be a little bit of that extra. I think both teams are kind of getting what they need here. The Kings need home ice. It's the splits are insane. Like, there's a pretty... If they get home ice, I could be convinced to take them. Because I've been,
over Edmonton.
I've been pretty bullish on, dude.
Remember,
we've
the last
done this
3
3
years.
straight years.
Yep.
I could be convinced to take them. If they don't, forget it. I'm not even looking at the paper.
Okay.
Don't show me any stats. Don't show me nothing. But Edmonton badly needs to rest. I mean, they ride the hell out of those horses. And also they're legitimately hurt. They need to rest.
You're talking about the Edmonton Oilers defense and everything. It should not go without pointing out that Stuart Skinner is bad. He's lost 11 of his last 14 games. Yep, it's not good. He continually allows not the greatest goals, soft goals, and his save percentage over that little stretch there has only been above 900 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 4 in the last 14 games. Save percentage above 900. Not great. Stuart Skinner.
One thing I will say about the Edmonton Oilers maybe having good defense is they have Jake Wallman.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
So I look at this front office and I say, hey, why didn't you think goaltending was a problem?
Well, you say that, and what an Oilers fan would say, because it's always personal, is they'll come back at you and go, but the Leafs. And the Leafs have allowed more goals than the Oilers have this year. I just thought you might find that interesting. The Leafs have allowed 210. The Oilers have allowed 203.
Yeah, is that it?
They're the same.
And the Leafs have scored a couple more than the Oilers, but they're plus minus. The goal differential is about the same.
Don't make me be an old man and say watch the damn games. Please don't make me do that. No, the Oilers for years, and still it's the case, are one of the most fun teams to watch because they're able to do things offensively that just make you get out of your chair, say, wow, stuff you've never seen before. And they allow goals that make you go, hoo-fa. Like, Evan Bouchard Corner is my new favorite segment on this show.
I think it's everybody's new favorite segment. Like,
I've never
we straight need or are we not?
Seen a player do less with more.
Right.
Like he's fascinating. Right.
Yeah.
So they're a very difficult team to like project. And the one thing I'll say about Edmonton not addressing their goaltending, who got a goalie?
Like at the
yeah, it's
nobody
true.
moved.
That's true.
Nobody moved on.
No,
One.
But
like Spencer Knight. That's it really.
I
In
think
retrospect, seems like a good pickup.
I think the Oilers should have been the one to pony up for that. You know,
Fair.
if that's what you need, you should go out and get it.
Drew says, Jesse, I'm just seeing the text now.
Drew say?
Jesse, on the Ovechkin thing, that is a ridiculous take. Please mute Jesse's mic, is what he said.
Good thing I control the mics over here in San Jose.
Reach advantage.
6-12.
I do want to touch on the St. Louis Blues, who are the hottest team in the NHL right now. I'm going to repeat that. The St. Louis Blues.
Yep.
But first, William Eklund's just arrived, and I think we should have him on.
I think we should too.
He didn't just arrive. Adam's lying. He arrived before.
Going by William Eklund of the San Jose Sharks. We're so excited that you're here just off the ice from practice. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
I was in Sweden last year for the Global Series, and I came back thinking I was a man of the world, and I knew how to say things in Swedish, only to find out I had no idea. How do you say hot chocolate in Swedish?
Varm choklad.
That sounds pretty
not
close
what
to
you were saying.
What were you saying? What were you
I
saying?
said warm chocolate.
That's pretty accurate. I'll give you that one.
You should not have given him that.
No.
Shit for that for a year.
Yeah. There was also some sort of beer that you were trying that apparently wasn't true.
We asked Matt Sundin about this, and he's like, I've never heard of that.
I think it was like literally one bar had like a garlic beer, and they made it sound like it was a Swedish thing.
I never heard about it.
No, yeah, that's what Matt said.
Matt's is like, I think they were just pranking you tourists.
Yeah.
They were probably.
Yeah, ripped us off. That's all right.
So listen, man, it's so great to have you here. We're pumped for you and pumped for your success and that sort of thing. And I think what's sort of cool what's going on here is that you are a part of what we're going to call the NHL sort of best young group that's making its way up. It's you, it's Macklin, it's Will. There's so many others. I just want to know what it's like to be a part of that. Does that sink in day to day? Like you see your face on the side of the SAP Center. Like, do you feel like, does that ever hit you, or do you just kind of go, it's a job, it's what you do?
It kind of hasn't hit me yet, so to be honest. I guess in the off season more, you're like, yeah, it's pretty cool actually. And every time my family is here, they think it's pretty cool. But for me, it's just, I come in here, I work every day, and I see all the guys in the locker room, we're like teammates. So it's nothing you think about.
Well, it seems like they've got a really great group of mentors around you. Mike Ricci was making noise while he walked down the highway.
That guy, the toothless guy?
Yeah. Is that what you call him?
No, but he's actually, you love sharpening each other. So yeah, it's just funny.
Him and we saw Jumbo when we walked in.
Yeah.
It just seems like a really great group. I know Dan Boyle's, around as well, and Patrick Marleau makes appearances. And so tell us a little bit about that, because those guys are all guys that played 1,000 games in the NHL, which is amazing. What's that kind of effect on you?
Yeah, it's huge. I think obviously walking into the locker room, you see Jumbo working out upstairs, and you see it makes you want to work out yourself, because you want to look like him when he's that age, you know. And yeah, it's obviously cool to have those guys around and reach on the ice too. It's huge for all the guys, I think, to see them around and see what they've gone through.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes we talk to players who grew up in Europe, and we say, "Oh, who'd you watch growing up?" And the answer is often, "Well, the games were on when I was asleep, so I didn't get to watch a ton of NHL hockey growing up." Was that the case for you? Like, who were you watching when you were younger?
Yeah, I was watching. My dad played in the local team in Sweden, so he played in that same team for 14 years. And he, obviously. He played with Vemberg, who's on my team right now. So I watched those guys. Mika Zibanejad, they were there too, playing with him. So those guys.
Mika seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's awesome guy.
Have you ever been to one of his concerts?
I haven't been, but I've seen a lot of them, so it's fun.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, but who else did you play with?
I looked up
watch,
to. I looked up a lot to Peter Forsberg. Obviously, he's a pretty cool guy. So, and Pavel Datsyuk was one of my favorites too. So those guys, those were the guys you watched.
Yeah. And what was your dad's team?
Djurgården.
And you played with Djurgården.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and it seems like the Swedish, all you guys trying to stay together when you guys are all in the NHL. I know Simon Edvinsson was taken the pick before you in the 21 draft. Did you guys hang out at all? Did you guys play together against each other in Sweden?
Yeah, we do. We did a lot, growing up and stuff like that. He was 1 year younger than me, but we still played against each other sometimes. And I would play against Raymond, Holt, and all those guys. We were in the same age, so you always ended up playing against each other in the finals or something.
Any connection with Willie? You guys train it a little?
Yeah, we do in the summers sometimes. It's actually my first year I'm skating with him and his brother and Jesper Bratt and Granström. Nice. We had a good group there, and his dad does a lot of good drills for us, and you could go on for pretty much 2.5 hours if you want to. So he trains a lot. He trains hard, so it's just fun to see that guy works, and makes you want to work harder.
What percent of the time does Willie have a shirt on?
I don't know. He comes in shirtless sometimes. I don't know.
He's a tarps off guy.
Yeah,
right?
he just does his thing, and it's pretty cool to see.
What's his dad like? Because I've always wondered, Michael now. I mean, he was a pretty hard-nosed NHL player, but he seems to be when we watched him in the series over in Sweden, he just seemed to be very proud and happy and that sort of thing. But what's he like on the ice when he's barking drills at you guys?
He's great, to be honest. The whole family has been great to me when I came in there and practiced with them. He always does his a lot of cutback drills, and a lot of those drills, you can see why they both are so great at that.
Yeah.
He came from his father, and he did that a lot, and it's hard practice, and that's what you need in the summer, because that gets me going before the camp here. So obviously great family, great dad there, so I just appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I'm looking around here. Obviously we're in the where the Barracuda play. Tomorrow night we're going to be watching you guys play the Leafs, and I'm this team, it's really, really hard as you've seen, and we won't mention any of the franchises by name, for teams to rebuild and to put a good culture together and to have the right veterans in the room and all of that, right? And you guys seem to be in a really, really good place. I wonder from your side of things, who keeps things loose in the Sharks dressing room? If you're on a road trip and it's a tough practice or a tough game or whatever, who's gonna break that ice?
Who's gonna? Toffoli is a good guy. Yeah, Toffoli. Mario Ferrari is pretty good at that too. We had a lot of guys this year who's been good at it. So
how are the pranks?
Pranks are good, Obviously, you've seen a lot of that with the Will and Mac. They're sleeping all with Toffoli and that stuff, and you just have been a fun group this year, and I don't know. It's a lot of. It's a good group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell, like you guys are having fun, even though the season probably hasn't gone the way you wanted. Everybody wants to win, but you can tell that it comes through on the ice, that you play hard and you enjoy being around each other.
Yeah, we do, and I think that's something that is the first step in the rebuilding process. You know, we have a lot of fun with each other, but also when we go on the ice, we compete, and you know, it's good competition in the practices, and I think that's a huge thing for success in the future.
Yeah.
Now, we all come from, everybody sitting at this desk comes from a very cold country. You know, we're Canadians.
Yeah.
You're from Sweden. We you know what winter feels like.
Yeah.
What is it like playing here and then walking out in the afternoon and you see palm trees and like, do you think you could never go back, right?
No. I guess like that's when I'm, you know, I noticed that too. I get pretty soft right now. You know, you go to like a medium cold place, it's like it's colder, right?
Yeah.
Guys, it's like, oh, it's pretty warm today, I guess. And it's like, I'm just used to the heat out of here. So, you get softer and softer, I guess.
Yeah, no, we've been here for 2 to 3 days, and today it wasn't 30 degrees Celsius, and we started complaining. We're like, oh, it's a little windy. You know, where's the hot weather? You know,
Jacket weather.
I see how that happens like quickly.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, it seems to be. It seems to be just a like a really like one of the things I think people talk about in a climate like this is like, oh, I can play hockey in the morning, go golf in the afternoon. What do you do outside of this? Like, so after this, like, I don't need an itinerary of your whole day, but like, what would you do on an average day where you're not playing? You do your practice in the morning. What's next? What do you do for fun, I guess?
For fun, I play a lot of video games, I guess.
Yeah, what do you do? What game?
Fortnite, FIFA. I usually play with Rasmus Sandin and Fabian Zetterlund.
Who's better, Fabian, Rasmus, or you?
Oof, I'm gonna be honest. I'm actually the worst player of those three. I'm gonna be like humble like that because I think they're pretty good. But yeah, we play pro clubs together and we have a lot of fun doing that. And that's a lot what I do in the afternoon. Even if it's sunny outside, I play some video games.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like that.
Who won last time?
So we played as a group together.
Oh,
so like
okay.
ESHL or World of
Yeah, you're on the same team.
Steve does that with his friends too, and he ends up yelling at them. So
it's a lot of screaming, eh?
Right. Oh, it's never my fault.
No, never. It's insane.
It's a crazy thing. It's never my fault. I know you said like it hasn't really hit you yet, but have you had any over the last 2 years like welcome to the NHL moment?
Yeah, I guess when you play like. Probably teams like this, Toronto, or you play McDavid on the Edmonton, and you play those guys, and you go up and just feel their speed and feel how they are out there. I think that's something that's like, wow, it's pretty cool to go against. But
what is it like to play against McDavid?
It's tough to stop him.
Yeah.
Like you can't stop him pretty much, but you just gotta find a way to, eliminate his chances as much as you can.
Yeah,
that's what I guess.
Yeah, watching Alexander Ovechkin go for his record. I think as of this recording, he's 6 away.
Yeah.
What is that like? Does that inspire you? Like, is that something you look at and you go, man, this guy is like 39. He's eating Subway sandwiches before every game and hot Cheetos.
Yeah, of course. But that's. I don't know how he does it, to be honest. He's so impressive, like just how he's been able to score that many goals every year, and he's still scoring. And I watched a lot of the games because I'm a good friend with Sandin, so I watched a lot of games. So it's just impressive to see him out there.
Mm-hmm. Rasmus seems like a fun guy too. He's like pretty
hilarious.
Yeah. It's just like we obviously watched him sort of grow up a little bit in Toronto, and he always seemed like a really confident, sort of fun guy that everybody seemed to like. What position does he play in FIFA? Just so we know, because that's what we really need to know.
In the pro clubs,
yeah,
he's forward. So no, he's not forward. What I'm saying, it sets on his forward, and he's like a so central offensive midfielder.
Okay,
and I'm on the wing, so. Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Good, man. That's great.
What's his style? Like, will he get back on defense, or is he rock star?
He does, actually.
Yeah.
Then he gets his rock star moments sometimes when he's pissed, but he will get back on defense. He's actually good at that. So.
Do you guys play against people online then?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, do they ever know that it's you?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so, no.
Now, are you able to, like, I haven't played FIFA online in forever. Are you guys talking to people?
I think you can if you want to, but we haven't really done that.
I know Steve used to chirp people online.
No, you should definitely stay anonymous because, like, it's one thing to lose, but like I would lose and then they would tweet at me like, my team just kicked your ass.
Oh, really?
It made for a bad night.
Yeah, it does. It does for
I
sure.
didn't like it.
Well, listen, I mean, you've been really gracious with your time here.
Yeah,
we
thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And I just want to say, congratulations on the success this season. I know you're already well past where you were at last season in terms of points and stuff, and it's just going to get better for you. So we're really looking forward to watching your journey and watching the Sharks' journey too, because it's going to be pretty exciting over the next few years for you guys.
For sure. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So it's worth mentioning the Calgary Flames, guys, have a record of 6-2-2 in their last 10. That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really good for the Calgary Flames.
Yes.
The problem is that the St. Louis Blues are 8-1-1 and have won 7 straight hockey games.
That's so not fair.
7 straight hockey games. The St. Louis Blues might kick both the Flames and the Canucks out of the playoffs. And by the way, we all were like, Doug Armstrong, what are you talking about? You won't trade Braden Shen at the trade deadline.
That's not what I said.
He was right.
That's not
You
what
were,
I
and
said.
so were you. Damn. This is a good team.
Dude, Flames and Canucks, they might kick the Wild out. They might. They're 2 points back now.
I don't know how to look it up, but Jordan Binnington's been on an absolute tear since coming back from Four Nations.
And so I think there's going to be a lot of about Jordan Binnington. He was legitimately mediocre. And like heading into the Four Nation face-off, then during the Four Nation face-off, straight up mediocre to bad. Then he had a couple good periods against Finland. You're like, oh, maybe. And in the final game against the US, you're just like, who is this person? That's one of the craziest lock-in single game performances I've seen in recent memory. And he's just stayed pissed off, I guess. Like,
yeah.
Maybe like I almost wonder, you know how sometimes like, oh, the media and I just want to stay away from the headlines and whatever. What if the headlines helped him?
Yeah. What if that motivates
what if he
him?
needed to be Jordan Binnington needs to be mad to play his best.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's had a good day since.
9-2, by the way, since Four Nations.
9-2 with a what?
I don't have the save percentage in front of me.
11,
Good.
Really good.
40 save percentage.
9-2. You know,
Yeah.
people were saying, it was funny, people were saying, oh, well, no players have been good since they came back from Four Nations.
Nope.
Like, does Jordan Binnington not exist?
And Sidney Crosby.
He counts.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and you're talking about how good the Blues have been. Since January 27th, they are the number 1 team in the National Hockey League. This hasn't been a recent
I
development
hate
where
reruns.
they're just kind of the best team in March or the best team in February. You go back to January 27th, they have 33 points total, 15-5-3. That's the best record.
Playoffs start today. Who do the Blues play?
They would play.
Because they're their final wild card,
They would
right?
play the
Yeah.
Jets.
Oh, you know what?
Shoot!
I think they're the favorite. If I'm picking that series right now,
No, don't
Blues
say that.
in 5.
Don't say that.
Give them 1.
Don't say that.
Give those boys in Winnipeg 1.
Wait, okay, what? Okay.
I'm not ready.
Guys, the Jets are monsters. They're monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's
Have they won
the
7
monster?
straight?
Who's the monster lately?
The St. Louis Blues.
I think I'm becoming a Jordan Binnington fan.
And by the way, the Jets beat the Caps earlier. Battle of the best. They beat them.
Yeah.
They beat the Caps.
Schedule loss for the Caps.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, look up the
Capitals
lead up.
play in Missouri.
No, they don't.
Well,
Okay.
wow, that
All right.
is. Oh man, if I'm the Jets, I am cheering for the Wild to lose every game, even harder than I usually do.
You have to pray that the Blues get out of that second wild card spot.
I do not want
that is
any
it.
part of that.
That's the most dangerous team in the West.
Damn, dude, that's
Okay,
that's
so,
crazy. That is crazy.
Grav
And they
tweeted
still
this.
might not even make it.
Yeah, it's true.
The
It's true.
second hottest player since the Four Nations break, which Binnington was the hottest, also plays for the Blues, and his name's Dylan Holloway.
Yes.
Man.
17 games, 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points. 16 of those points came even strength. 3-game winning
4 of them
goals.
didn't count.
32 hits. Yeah, it's because power play doesn't count. 32 hits, 45 shots on goal. That's from Grav. Like I said, this guy has been pretty spectacular. Just as a pickup from the Edmonton Oilers. And it's interesting. We were talking about it quickly off mic, and then Jesse told us to stop because
we were having a good conversation. I was like, save it for the air.
And listen, I watched 3 rounds. I streamed 2 rounds, and then obviously the Oilers are in the finals, and you streamed the last round. But like watched the Oilers last year in the playoffs, and Dylan Holloway was really good. But I didn't see guy on pace. Well, he has 60 points.
Yeah.
He has 60 points now. And the Oilers could really use that depth scoring. But why? Okay, like why does that happen?
I think some players are first liners, some are second, some are third, some are fourth, right? Not everyone. Like if you go out for the playoffs and you really need a fourth line center. That's what your team needs. And you go out and you spend the assets on a second line center. You might be like, gosh, we're friggin' stacked. We are so deep. That's not really how it works.
Right.
There's only one puck and there's only 60 minutes. Would Holloway have ever hit these heights in Edmonton? I don't know that he would.
There might not be enough room.
He had one.
He's more important in St. Louis.
Yeah,
he had one power play point the entire year last year. He has 13 this year in the regular season. His minutes per game last year were 11:22, and the year before were 9:35. This year it's 16:51. So basically 17-minute a night player. And so to your point about opportunity, his shooting percentage is much higher than it was last year. So it was about 11% last year. It's about 14% this year, but not
14 is reasonable as hell.
It's not crazy. It just means progression. I look at this and I go, okay, when he signed, and I don't blame Oilers fans for what I'm about to say because being salty is part of being a fan.
Why would you like that he's gone?
But when he did sign and Broberg signed, Oilers fans were basically, from what I saw, some of them said, well, yeah, they just signed because they just wanted the money. And now Broberg's having a career year. Holloway's having a career year. And these guys are going to make the playoffs.
Broberg had 4 points against Montreal. He had a goal and 3 assists and was a +4. He's +8 the last 5 games with 6 points.
So is that, it sure sounds like those are guys that just, maybe they wanted money and opportunity.
Maybe they're 23. Like, maybe you don't give up on 23-year-olds and you just kind of sign them because they're not yet what they will be.
Dude, okay, gave up on them is harsh. I think
let them go.
I think they mismanaged the cap.
Well, and okay, do the Oilers need to get Jake Wallman if Phil Broberg is there?
Yes. Sorry.
No, $6.7 million is what it took to keep them. You could have reallocated those assets and kept them.
You could have. I mean, they actually they made a phone call that might have gone into this building. I don't know. And they traded Cody Ceci to the Sharks to try to make that work. The Blues did that weird deal where they're like, "Here's a couple more picks, just out of the kindness of our hearts."
Yeah.
Listen, there's no being cute about it. Yeah, Holloway and Broberg are better on St. Louis than they would have been in Edmonton. Broberg, I'm actually not so sure. Like he would have been very useful to them.
But Holloway is what they hoped Jeff Skinner would be.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes. There's no way of looking at that and going, well, good for them. That was a great choice.
Because you could have paid the $3 million to. I mean, they were trying to get Holloway at like 1.1, and I think if they'd gone to like 1.5 or something, they might have been able to do it. And that goes back to Ken Holland, right? Like,
I also wonder if does the money make you stand different? Like a little bit. Like, let's say Holloway. What did he have last year?
He had this is regular season. He had 9 points.
Right. He had 9 points in 38 games.
Yeah.
What?
Still, like the money I make. I wonder if that makes you just go, holy shit! All right, time to elevate.
25 games in the playoffs. He had 9 points there too.
Instead of settling into this depth role that they've assigned me, I got to elevate.
But one thing, Adams made this point before, in that it should be so simple to build this team with McDavid and Draisaitl. And if you don't end up winning a cup in this era where you have those two players, it's a failure on epic proportions because it should be so easy. And for them to be screwing this up in the part of the era where they had Draisaitl at $8.5 million for all of those seasons, and now it's over. And you had McDavid at 12.5, and for you not just to be able to plug in a couple pieces around, it should be by default every year Stanley Cup contender. And for them to not look good every playoffs, it's a complete mismanagement in my eyes.
And listen, they could still go deep, right?
Yeah.
But I look at this. It is not Stan Bowman's fault that Holloway or Broberg wasn't re-signed up until it was Stan Bowman's fault because he took over, right? These deals happened in August.
I don't remember the timeline.
He took over in like mid-July or something, mid to late July.
They had time to prepare for this.
They had time.
Right.
There was time. And listen, it's maybe you don't put it directly on Stan Bowman, but he is the guy that traded Cody Ceci, traded for Jake Wallman, signed Jeff Skinner. Or no, Jeff Skinner he did not sign. I think maybe that was Jeff Jackson.
No.
But you've got to have, because
Skinner and Arvidsson, I don't remember.
That was Jeff Jackson.
Off-season is the timelines are difficult to remember.
Yeah.
And, the other thing about that is Stan Bowman taking over when he did, that's also something that could have been avoided because they knew Ken Holland's contract was up and they could have done something about
They had
that
him sitting
too.
there all season.
Right? And I know they were waiting for reinstatement from the NHL, but come on. Then you didn't have to do that. There's so much about this. Like, Stan Bowman stepped in, and it was a bit of a mess. But your job is to kind of evaluate that. And I think they tried to go with, we know what Jeff Skinner can be or has been.
I think...
And maybe that's what we need in our depth.
I think...
I don't mind Arvidsson either. I know that he's been injured a lot.
I like
Arvidsson
as
a lot.
Player. Like, I think sometimes it's easy to look at things a little too black and white and be like, well, the Oilers are good, so they make exclusively good decisions.
No.
Every decision they've made, great.
Right.
That's just not how it works. Like, good teams make bad decisions, and I think they have made quite a few.
Doug
Still
Armstrong on the other side of that. People were picking at him a little bit. He's starting to look like a genius again.
I mean, he had a pretty good offseason, and God, the parallels to 2019 are eerie. We're talking about trading Parayko, talking about trading the team's captain, except instead of Alex Pietrangelo, this time it's Braden Shen. He ends up holding on to both of them. Binnington gets hot. The team gets ridiculously hot. They squeak into the playoffs.
Oh, you skipped over the most important part.
Hellebuck's a fraud?
They fired their head coach and they brought in somebody who can do this thing.
And by the
parallels
way,
are crazy.
Jim Montgomery's revenge tour is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, look at what the Bruins, who are the Bruins dressing? The Fluto Shinzawa just put out the lineups.
It's a decidedly young group.
And Jim Montgomery stepped out of Boston where he'd set records. And they had a bad start because they're a poorly constructed team.
What's the record for wins in a row?
It cost him his job. Cam Neely and Don Sweeney's decision-making about roster construction cost Jim Montgomery his job. And then here comes Doug Armstrong going, you know what? We have a good coach, but here's a better one. Let's go get him. And it's crazy.
It's a decision that I think gets you highly criticized in hockey. 9 times out of 10. If this doesn't work, he looks like a complete jerk for firing Drew Bannister, who was not doing a bad job.
He wasn't the guy.
He wasn't. Well, yeah, he was the guy until a better guy showed up.
Exactly.
And Doug Armstrong has had a ruthless calendar year, man. Like, double offer sheet. Fired a coach. I'm not going to say with no reason. Well, usually coaches only get fired when they've underperformed.
Yeah.
And that's just not what happened with the Blues.
Yep.
He's had a ruthless year, but he's had a really good one, and it sticks with the trend of NHL teams seeing success after being pretty ruthless.
0 buried contracts, 0 buyouts, 0 retention slots used. That's Doug Armstrong's team. Now, they don't have a ton of cap to spend this offseason, but I don't think it matters if they're going to play like this. By the way, we're going to be back with a show on Friday. And there's more content coming. We got our watch party tonight for the Barracuda. It's going to be a fun week in San Jose. So, gentlemen, I guess we'll just wrap it up there.
Why not?
When's Sharks fan reaction coming out?
Yeah.
At the exact same time as LFR.
Oh, yeah, because of the game. You see that?